Assigned 2 petite alien wives. The AI knew exactly what humans crave. First contact. Mira Chen pressed her face against the viewport as the transport shuttle approached Horizon Station. The massive ring-shaped structure orbited the gas giant Centaurus Prime, its lights glimmering against the backdrop of swirling azure storms. After 3 years of application attempts and 6 months in transit, she had finally arrived at humanity's most ambitious diplomatic outpost. "First time meeting non-humans?" asked the shuttle pilot, noticing her wide-eyed expression. "Is it that obvious?" Mira laughed, adjusting her uniform. As Earth's newest xenocultural liaison, she'd studied everything about the Lyrians. But textbooks couldn't prepare her for real contact. The shuttle docked with a gentle shudder. Mira gathered her few belongings and stepped through the airlock, where a small welcoming committee awaited. Dr. Adrian Ellis, the station's human director, greeted her with a firm handshake. "Welcome aboard, Dr. Chen. Your reputation precedes you," he said. "Your work on communication protocols was instrumental in our preliminary discussions." "Thank you, sir. I'm eager to put theory into practice," Mira replied. "Allow me to introduce our Lyrian counterparts," Dr. Ellis continued, gesturing to 2 figures standing slightly apart. Mira's breath caught in her throat. The Lyrians were humanoid but distinctly alien. The taller one had skin in varying shades of purple, with delicate patterns that seemed to shift in the light. Large, expressive eyes regarded her with unmistakable intelligence and curiosity. "This is Tavik, Chief Scientific Advisor from Lyria," Dr. Ellis said. Tavik stepped forward and placed his palm vertically between them, the Lyrian greeting she had practiced countless times. "Your journey was pleasant, I hope?" His voice had a melodic quality, the station's translation system conveying his words with only the slightest delay. Mira mirrored his gesture, palm to palm but not touching, respecting Lyrian personal boundaries. "Very much so, thank you." "And this is Nessa, our cultural liaison," Dr. Ellis continued, introducing the second Lyrian. Nessa's purple complexion had more bluish undertones and intricate markings adorned her temples. "We have prepared extensively for your arrival," she said. "Your perspectives will be valuable to our understanding." Over the next few days, Mira acclimated to station life and began preliminary meetings with the Lyrian delegation. During a cultural exchange session, Tavik explained Lyrian social structures while Mira shared Earth's diverse traditions. "Fascinating," Tavik said after Mira described Earth's seasonal celebrations. "Your world's diversity mirrors our own in unexpected ways." Later, as they walked through the hydroponics bay, Tavik showed interest in Earth's flora. "These remind me of the bioluminescent gardens in our northern hemisphere," he said, touching a leaf gently. Mira noticed how the light played across his purple skin, highlighting the subtle patterns. When their eyes met, she felt an unexpected flutter in her chest, a reaction she hadn't anticipated in all her preparation. "Perhaps," Tavik said softly, "there is more common ground between our worlds than either side initially believed." Cultural exchange. The second week aboard Horizon Station brought new challenges as Mira settled into her role. She found herself spending increasing time with Tavik, whose insightful questions about Earth culture revealed a mind as curious as her own. "Your concept of music fascinates me," Tavik said during one of their daily meetings. They sat in the observation lounge, Centaurus Prime's rings creating a breathtaking backdrop through the curved viewport. "On Lyria, we experience sound as both auditory and visual stimulation." "How so?" Mira leaned forward, intrigued. Tavik's purple skin rippled slightly with subtle patterns, an expression of enthusiasm she'd learned. "When we create music, our skin resonates with the vibrations. The patterns you see are our emotional response made visible." "That's beautiful," Mira said softly. "Would you show me sometime?" Before Tavik could respond, the station's alarm blared. Red emergency lights pulsed throughout the chamber. "Environmental system malfunction," announced the station AI. "Oxygen recyclers offline in sectors 3 through 7. All personnel implement emergency protocols." Dr. Ellis's voice came over the comm system. "This is not a drill. All staff report to designated safety zones. Prepare teams to central control." Tavik stood immediately. "I should assist. My knowledge of the integrated life support systems." "I'm coming too," Mira said, rising to join him. "I specialized in advanced environmental systems during my space training." They rushed through corridors already filling with emergency response teams. When they reached central control, Chaos reigned as technicians frantically worked consoles. The primary recycler coupling has failed, explained Nessa, who was already there coordinating the Lyrian response team. And the secondary systems are not engaging properly. The integration protocols, Tavik said, understanding immediately. Human and Lyrian systems use different base algorithms. Mira studied the diagnostic screens. We need to create a bridge between protocols. Tavik, if you can isolate the Lyrian system's parameters, while you recalibrate the human systems to accept them, he finished her thought. They worked seamlessly together, fingers flying over control panels. Mira marveled at how naturally they complemented each other's approach, her methodical problem-solving balanced by his intuitive understanding of system relationships. After 30 intense minutes, the recyclers hummed back to life. The emergency lights faded, replaced by normal illumination. Relief washed through the control room. "Exceptional work," Dr. Ellis said, approaching them with an unreadable expression. "Though I must admit some concern about unauthorized personnel in critical systems areas during an emergency." "With respect, Doctor," Tavik replied. "Our combined approach allowed for a solution that might have taken much longer otherwise." Later that evening, Mira found Tavik in the hydroponics bay, tending to a small plant she recognized from Lyria's botanical database. "Thank you for your help today," she said. "We make a good team." "Indeed." He turned, the patterns on his skin shifting into what she now recognized as pleasure. "I've never worked with a human whose mind seems to complement my own so naturally." "I feel the same way," Mira admitted. She hesitated, then added, "Dr. Ellis seemed concerned about our collaboration." Tavik's expression dimmed slightly. "There are protocols about interaction levels between our species. Some fear that too much closeness could complicate the diplomatic mission." "Is that what you believe?" Mira asked, her heart beating faster. "I believe understanding comes through connection," he said softly, "and some connections transcend diplomatic concerns." Their eyes met, and in that moment Mira realized they had crossed an invisible boundary. Whatever was growing between them wasn't in any protocol handbook, and that made it both dangerous and precious. Stars align. "It's called the Festival of Luminescence," Tavik explained as he guided Mira through the Lyrian Cultural Center on Horizon's upper level. The space had been transformed with swirling patterns of light that danced across every surface. On Lyria, it marks the alignment of our 3 moons, a time when barriers between different realms are believed to be thinnest. Mira watched in wonder as Nessa and other Lyrians moved through intricate dance formations, their purple skin glowing with bioluminescent patterns that seemed to flow between them, like electric currents. "It's breathtaking," she whispered. "Would you—" Tavik hesitated. "Would you join the celebration? No human has participated before, but there is no prohibition." Heart racing, Mira nodded. Tavik gently took her hand, the first time they had touched, and led her into the circle of dancers. He showed her the basic movements, their bodies moving in synchrony as the lights pulsed around them. Though her skin couldn't glow like theirs, she felt something resonating within her, a connection that transcended physical differences. Later, they stood alone on the observation deck, watching Centaurus Prime's storms churn below. "Tonight meant a great deal to me," Tavik said softly. "Sharing our traditions with someone who truly wishes to understand." Mira turned to him. "It meant everything to me, too." The moment was interrupted by her communication device. "Urgent message from Earth Command," the AI announced. The message was clear. Earth was re-evaluating the Horizon project. Budget constraints and political pressure from isolationist factions were threatening to end the program. Worse, certain officials expressed concern about inappropriate fraternization between species. "They're monitoring us," Mira realized with dismay. "Someone reported our friendship." "Dr. Ellis," Tavik concluded. "He believes he's protecting the mission." Over the next days, they maintained professional distance in public, but the connection between them only deepened. During a scheduled cultural exchange, they discussed relationship structures on their respective worlds. On Lyria, bonds form based on intellectual and emotional resonance, Tavik explained to the assembled team, careful to keep his explanation academic. Physical attributes are secondary to this harmony of spirits. "Many Earth cultures have similar philosophies," Mira added, not meeting his eyes. though our history is filled with artificial barriers between people, race, nationality, religion. We've mostly moved beyond those, but now we face new boundaries. Nessa interjected gently. Between worlds rather than within them. After the session, Nessa approached Mira privately. I recognize what grows between you and Tavik, she said. My mate was among the first Lyrian human pairings stationed on Europa Outpost. The path is not easy, but it is worthy. How did you overcome the opposition? Mira asked. We demonstrated that our connection strengthened the mission rather than compromised it, Nessa answered. Our unique perspective created breakthrough diplomatic approaches that neither species could have developed alone. A plan began forming in Mira's mind. If Earth was questioning the value of the Horizon Project, perhaps she and Tavik could show them exactly why such deep understanding between species was essential. That night they met secretly in the station's arboretum. As exotic plants from both worlds bloomed around them, Tavik's fingers intertwined with hers. I have an idea, Mira said. One that might save the project and, she hesitated, and allow us to explore what this is between us. Tavik's skin illuminated with hope as she outlined her proposal for a revolutionary approach to interspecies diplomacy, one that celebrated connection rather than feared it. It's risky, he said. We would be challenging fundamental assumptions on both our worlds. Some boundaries are meant to be crossed, Mira replied, moving closer to him. Some connections are worth fighting for. Under the artificial starlight of the arboretum, surrounded by the mingled flora of two worlds, their lips met in a kiss that bridged the vast distance between their stars. Eclipse. The political storm brewing on Earth intensified. Admiral Bennett, head of the Interstellar Diplomatic Corps, arrived on Horizon Station unannounced, bringing with him an atmosphere of tension that spread through the corridors like a virus. The program's funding is in jeopardy, he informed Dr. Ellis and the senior staff during an emergency meeting. Earth's new administration questions the return on investment. They're asking why we need physical diplomatic presence when AI mediators could handle negotiations at a fraction of the cost. Mira sat stiffly in her chair, painfully aware of Tavik seated across the table, maintaining the professional distance they'd been careful to preserve in public since the warnings began. With respect, Admiral, she said, AI mediators lack the capacity for cultural empathy that's been fundamental to our breakthroughs here. Bennett regarded her coolly. I understand you've become quite the advocate for personal diplomacy, Dr. Chen. The implication hung in the air. Mira felt her cheeks warm but held her ground. My experiences have shown that meaningful connections create understanding that transcends formal protocols. Indeed, Bennett replied. I've reviewed your proposal for the Convergence Initiative. Quite revolutionary, perhaps too revolutionary for the current political climate. After the meeting, Tavik found Mira in the research library. The room was empty, offering a rare moment of privacy. They're going to reject it, aren't they? She asked without preamble. Perhaps, Tavik said, his purple skin displaying patterns of concern. But Nessa has been speaking with the Lyrian High Council. There is interest in our approach despite the resistance from your world. Mira paced the room. We need to demonstrate the value concretely, not just theoretically. Bennett needs something tangible to take back to Earth. The Centaurus Prime Atmospheric Anomaly, Tavik suggested after a moment of thought. My team has been struggling to understand the patterns in the storm system. It behaves unlike anything in our scientific models. While our Earth meteorologists have been saying the same thing, Mira finished, excitement building. Two separate approaches, both incomplete. They worked through the night, combining Lyrian atmospheric science with Earth weather modeling technology. By morning, they had created a unified theory that not only explained the gas giant's strange behavior, but predicted a major storm convergence that both scientific communities had missed. When they presented their findings to Admiral Bennett, even his stern demeanor cracked slightly. This is impressive, he admitted, but a single scientific breakthrough doesn't justify an entire diplomatic program. It's not just science, Mira argued passionately. It's a perfect example of what happens when we truly collaborate, rather than simply exchange information. The Convergence Initiative would formalize this approach across all disciplines, and would also conveniently legitimize cross-species relationships, Bennett observed shrewdly. Personal connections are inevitable when worlds meet, Admiral, Tavik said quietly. The question is whether we treat them as liabilities or as assets. As Bennett prepared to return to Earth with their proposal, Dr. Ellis requested a private meeting with Mira. I owe you an apology, he said, surprising her. I reported your relationship with Tavik because I believed it threatened our mission. I now see it may be the very thing that saves it. Thank you, Mira said, touched by his candor, but the decision isn't in our hands anymore. That evening, as Horizon Station passed into the shadow of Centaurus Prime, Mira and Tavik met on the observation deck. The eclipse cast the chamber in dim light, with only the distant stars and the subtle glow of Tavik's skin providing illumination. Whatever happens, Tavik said, taking her hands in his, know that meeting you has transformed my understanding of not just Earth, but of connection itself. Mira stepped closer, resting her head against his chest where she could hear the unique rhythm of his heartbeat. On Earth, there's an old saying, the stars cross for lovers meant to find each other against all odds. As they held each other in the darkness, watching the gas giant storm swirl beneath them, neither spoke of the uncertainty that awaited when the light returned. For now, in this eclipse, they existed in a place beyond borders, beyond species, in a convergence of their own making. New constellation. 3 months of silence from Earth had stretched Mira's nerves to breaking point. The Horizon project continued on provisional status, but everyone felt the precariousness of their situation. The one bright spot remained her deepening bond with Tavik, now conducted with cautious openness rather than secrecy. Incoming transmission from Earth Command, announced the station AI, interrupting Mira's morning meditation. All senior staff to Communications Center. She hurried through the corridors, nearly colliding with Tavik, who had received the same summons. They exchanged a look of mingled hope and apprehension before entering the comm center together. Admiral Bennett's hologram materialized before the assembled team, his expression unreadable. After extensive review of the Convergence Initiative proposal, he began formally, and considerable debate among Earth's leadership, a decision has been reached. Mira held her breath. Beneath the conference table, out of sight, Tavik's hand found hers. The Horizon project will not only continue, Bennett announced, but will be expanded as the first implementation site of the newly approved Stellar Convergence Program. Dr. Chen, your approach has been adopted as the foundation for our revised interspecies diplomatic framework. Relief flooded through Mira so intensely she barely heard the details that followed. Increased funding, expanded facilities, new joint research initiatives. Only when Bennett mentioned her name again did she refocus. As the architect of this new approach, you are being promoted to co-director of Horizon Station, serving alongside a Lyrian counterpart. Your official directive includes establishing protocols for the integration of personal and professional connections between our species. The meeting concluded with stunned silence, followed by an eruption of excited conversation. As the staff dispersed, Dr. Ellis approached Mira and Tavik. Congratulations, he said sincerely. It seems I'll be reporting to you now, Dr. Chen. I hope you'll stay on as senior advisor, Mira replied. We couldn't have done this without your eventual support. Later that day, the Lyrian High Council confirmed Tavik's appointment as the other co-director. They celebrated privately in the Arboretum, which had flourished into a lush garden where plants from both worlds grew together in harmonious arrangements. I never imagined this outcome, Tavik admitted, his skin glowing with patterns of joy more vibrant than Mira had ever seen. That our connection would become not just accepted but a model. It makes sense, Mira said. The best diplomacy has always been built on genuine relationships. We've just expanded the definition of what those relationships can be. 1 month later, they stood together as the first transport arrived carrying new personnel selected specifically for the Convergence program, humans and Lyrians chosen for their openness to deep cultural exchange and collaboration. Among them was Nessa's mate, transferred from Europa Outpost to help establish the new protocols. The reunion between the Lyrian couple was touching, their skin patterns synchronizing in a display of deep connection that Mira now understood represented their bond. Your success gives hope to others like us, Nessa's mate told Mira and Tavik during the welcome reception. Across the solar system, those who have formed cross-species bonds are finally stepping forward, offering their unique perspectives. As the celebration continued around them, Tavik led Mira to the viewport where they had first begun to recognize their connection. Centaurus Prime filled the view, its storms now partially mapped and understood thanks to their combined science. "I've been studying Earth customs," Tavik said, suddenly seeming nervous, his skin displaying unfamiliar patterns. "There is one I find particularly meaningful." He produced a small object, a ring crafted from an alloy of earth metals and Lyrian minerals that shimmered with an inner light. "On your world, this symbolizes a formal commitment between partners," he said. "On mine, we have a similar concept called soul tethering. I wonder if you would consider—" "Yes," Mira answered before he could finish, tears of joy welling in her eyes. "1,000 times yes." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, its materials responded to both her warmth and the bioluminescence of his touch, creating a soft glow that symbolized their unique bond. Beyond the viewport, new ships arrived bearing representatives from 3 other species who had expressed interest in the convergence approach. The stars were aligning in ways no one had predicted, creating not just diplomatic opportunities but the possibility of deeper understanding across the galaxy. "We've created something beautiful," Mira whispered as they watched the ships dock. "Not just for ourselves," Tavik agreed, "but for all who will follow the path we've charted." Together they stood at the threshold of a new era, where the convergence of hearts across stars would illuminate the darkness between worlds and forge connections, stronger than the vast distances that had once separated them. As Horizon Station continued its orbit around Centaurus Prime, it carried within it the beginning of a new constellation, one formed not of distant stars, but of souls brave enough to reach across the void and find each other, says